What is up, guys? Sophia here, back with another topic. If you are new, then don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you can stay updated on all of my content. And also, don't forget to share this video if you care, and don't forget to check the description box because I always put a lot of stuff in there, specifically my book for single women and also this book, Played or Be Played, which I have been doing a series on. This is part 3. I'm going to leave part 1 and part 2 down in the description box. And also, what this series is talking about is the different types of men. So what we're going to be talking about is the third set of men. The first one, if you guys didn't watch, was how to spot a player, and the second one was when a man looks good on paper but actually isn't. This one is called the pushover man. So there are several different types of pushovers, but a pushover man is described as an easygoing, non-confrontational guy. These guys like to come across as being sensitive to a woman's needs. The pushover likes to do little sentimental and romantic things like buy women flowers and take them to expensive dates. These men were taught at a young age to put women on a pedestal and do things like open the door. But, because that all sounds all fine and dandy, right? But the problem with many pushovers' brothers is that they don't know how to balance their sensitivity. So they often come across as being too nice and not having enough backbone. This turns many women off from the pushover brother. And you know what? I honestly have to low-key agree with this. It shouldn't probably turn women off that men are like this, but maybe because I can definitely agree because I am such a assertive personality and I don't get over emotional. So oftentimes when dealing with over emotional men, I tend to get a little frustrated. Sorry, hate to be like that, but it's true. And honestly, I think a lot of women do tend to get frustrated with overly sensitive men, right? But I also think that even when reading these pushover men, it's important to kind of work with men, because I know sometimes we shut people down because we might feel they're not masculine enough. But even in my older age, I have learned to maybe not necessarily look at a man in a certain way or masculine in a certain way, if that makes sense. So let's go into the different types of pushover brothers. So first, it is the mama's boy, who is usually raised in a single parent household by a domineering mother figure who is smothering and who has spoiled him. This type of nurturing has prevented him from living up to his fullest potential as a man. So when he dates, he looks for women to be his new surrogate mother. If you guys watch my channel, you know I talk about this, specifically the man-child video. I will link that down below. I personally am a single mom, so I'm not saying anything about single moms, especially single moms of boys. But what I will say is that you do, and I have a video that I did with my son on being raised by a single mom, but I feel like particularly for boys, it's important for single moms to, realize boys are not our surrogate husbands, and we can't be smothering or domineering or not let them grow up, because then you specifically get this situation with a man child. And so what it says is that the mama's boy gets into a relationship where he lets the female call the shots, makes all the decisions, and whenever there is a problem with his girlfriend or wife or any other aspects of his life, then he will go running back home to his mama. And in the man-child video, I will take it to another level. These are the type of men who want you to take care of them, who want you to do everything, who want you to pay for everything. And literally, they just want to take on the role as your child. Because I have dated a guy like this before where his mother was very much like this and then she would encourage him to go back to his ex-girlfriend while he was with me, or she invited the ex-girlfriend and my ex at the time, and he was my boyfriend, to his birthday party, and she intentionally did not tell me about the birthday party and invited the ex. See, these are type of issues when you have too many people, especially a mom, in the middle of your relationship, because then she feels like she has the reign to rule over your relationship. And even though your relationship might be good with the actual man, having a mama's boy or a third person entering into your situation can make it all the more worse, because who is a man going to listen to? He's going to always feel like, oh, I need to choose my mom. If he don't have a backbone, oh, I need to choose my mom. And he always going to choose his mother over you. So let's get into the next one. The ultra gentleman. The ultra gentleman goes out of his way to play the good man role in front of women. This kind of guy who will constantly brag about how he is not like other men and will pretend to despise other guys who are like players and max, which, if you are confused by that terminology, this book is old, but I did explain it in the other 2 videos. But in reality, he secretly wishes he can be one. The ultra gentleman will pretend to enjoy going out on a romantic dates with a woman. He'll open doors, pull out chairs, and do all of the so-called gentlemanly things for women until he gets some sex. Remember, the definition of a gentleman is a man who hasn't had sex with you. Remember that, ladies. The ultra gentleman knows that women like to give them special attention by being extra courteous. This is why he plays this role. The problem is that he plays this role with every woman that he is trying to bang. So I forget, I think it might have been in the second video where a man looks good on paper, but he's not good for you. And I feel like there was a different type of man that was listed as the same type as this type, because basically what this is, and I'm sure that many women can relate, is that oftentimes we get with men who are, good, or who are showing us who they are, but it's fake. And that's why if you listen to a lot of my videos in regards to dating and stuff, I say, you know what, pull way back. If a man asks you what you're looking for, be very vague. If he tries to get information out of you as far as, oh, when do you want to get married or all this other type of stuff, then be vague, unless you're actually like dating for a year or something and you know you're going to marry that person. But in the beginning, be vague, because what this says is that what a man is doing is he's trying to pull information out of you so that he can be the person that you want him to be. So I had been on a date like this. Let's say, I talk on a date. I say I have a son. Then all of a sudden the man wants to be the stepfather to my child, wants to get married. Mind you, this is like on the first or second date. So when you think about it, this is obviously impossible. You don't freaking know me, right? And even aside from that, he was just pretending to be whatever I wanted him to hear. So basically so he could try to get some. And he did try to get some, but he didn't, because you have to recognize game. So I feel like even when it comes to a good guy, don't be overly suspicious, but also use your intuition, because if a guy is messing with other women, or if he is giving other women the type of day, this is something that I have always said, is don't just pay attention to the type of man that he is, but pay attention to the type of man that he is to you, because he could be good to everybody under the sun, and he could try to talk you into saying that he's a good man because he has a job, a career, his own place, whatever the case may be. But if he is ignoring you after he has had sex with you, or, he has done a lot in the beginning, but you feel like, okay, I don't really know the real you, I just feel like you're being fake, then these are indicators that this is what this type of man is. So moving on, the righteous Bohemian brother. Even though there are some Bohemian brothers who are sincere with their lifestyle, the average boho brother is just a guy who tries to impress women by coming across as being more spiritual and righteous than other guys. He prides himself on being anti-establishment. Honestly, I'm not even sure if I've ever dated a Bohemian like all the way. I don't know if he was trying to be sarcastic, but I had definitely dated a guy, because you guys know that I teach spiritual teachings and they pretend to be more spiritual than what they are. And sometimes they just be quoting the Bible and quote scripture, have no idea what they're talking about, because they want to make it seem like they're more spiritual or enlightened than you, and they just speaking a whole bunch of nonsense. So I would take this as any type of fake person who tries to be, and I mentioned this in another video, I think it was the last one, when it was the men who look good on paper. Like sometimes they try to overcompensate, or they're always bragging on themselves. This is more in a different type of way, because they're not doing it with like material means. Like they're not like, oh, I have a house, I have a car, I have money I can flash in front of your face. This is more like, oh, I'm so smart and so intellectual, and when I'm talking to you, I can make you feel spiritually enlightened. And I feel like some women automatically gravitate towards this type of man, especially maybe Christian women, because I have kind of had this in more of a Christian context, because a lot of men, if they know that you're Christian, then they will put on the Christian facade. And I have a video on this that I'll put down in the description box where I give some examples of where I saw this, and they will try to be the ultimate God-loving man, and they don't know God from the man in the moon. And so don't necessarily fall into the trap of what a man presents himself to be spiritually, but actually see if he is, living, or he is being what he's portraying himself to be. So next, we are going to get into the Captain Save-A-Ho. The Captain Save-A-Ho brother is a pushover who likes to come to a woman's rescue in hopes of winning her over just for sex. These guys usually have no game whatsoever, but they will try to use money, gifts, and generous deeds as a way to insincerely control women. These guys offer to come by women's house to fix things, to move furniture, to do yard work, fix her car, pay her bills, car note, and so on and so forth. They think that the more that they give you gifts or buy for a woman, the better their chances will be with getting some butt. And I actually talked about this in one of these videos. I know I keep mentioning it, but some of these men are starting to sound the same. This is more of like the sugar daddy mentality, because we talked about that. Like oftentimes, and I said this in the last video when we were reading on the sugar daddy, is that it's about control, is that they like to give money and gifts and things in order to control the woman and kind of make you dependent on them so that they can get whatever that they want out of you. But I think that since it's a pushover guy, that he adds a little more emotional element into it, because it says that he is always the guy who has a shoulder for the female to cry on. And if the female has kids, he will claim to want to do things for the kids in order to win brownie points from a female. He likes to make all types of promises to a female, knowing that all he wants to do is hit. He will definitely know how to come across as the superhero. So what I will say about this is I have probably dated a man like this, but I honestly felt like he was sincere. And I know this is going to make it sound like I have commitment issues, but whatever, because I definitely feel like, and this was in my younger years, is where I can get caught up with sentimental and being turned off by that, by actually recognizing a good man. Because way back when, and this was right after I had my son, and I had known the guy for a few years prior to that, is that even years before that, he was trying to date me. He was trying to show me, cook for me, do everything. I know you're gonna be like, Sophia, really? And he wanted to take it more long term. And I promise you, the only reason why I could not really get into him is because he just seemed a little bit too sensitive. But it also turned into like I'm talking to like my girlfriend. And, you know, I think that it is very difficult because, and I feel like a lot of guys like these, because even men that I haven't dated, but I'm thinking back of when I have guy friends, I think that a lot of men probably end up getting friend zoned for this particular reason. It's because they might have romantic interest in a woman. And if a guy is hanging around, he probably have romantic interest in you. It took me a long time to learn that, because I was like, oh, they just want to be my friend. But really, they have some sort of romantic interest in you, and it's like they become this super sensitive guy. I got confused as to what they wanted, because it was like the only time that you were there is to hear about my bad times and to dry up my tears. So I kind of categorized this person as a friend. They didn't have any assertiveness. But I can't say that with these specific guys that I feel like the ones that I have dated, that they necessarily are in it just to get some. I'm sure there are some men who do this just to get some, but I think that men like these, when they typically get friend zoned, because that's what we do with them, right? It's like they will spend years in the friend zone hoping one day that we'll wake up and see how genuine they are. But I think really the back end of all of this, and this comes with maturity, because as I have matured, I have learned to appreciate certain things. Like I said, I was being completely shallow before, but I think that oftentimes men like these get overlooked because we view them as being too sensitive, or we automatically put them in the friend zone because that's always how they appear to us, super nice, wanting to come to the rescue, wanting to do stuff. And so I feel like if this type of guy is genuine, then maybe that's a mindset shift that you want to take in regards to what is and is not a good man, because sometimes we can overlook good men and really just be for stupid reasons, right? All right, so I definitely hope that that made sense. I will talk to you guys another day, another time. Bye, guys. Not ready for the show to end? It doesn't have to. You can head over to my site where you can read hundreds of articles. And also you can feel free to shop my store where I have all of my products for sale. And last but not least, for even more video content, feel free to visit my YouTube channel where I talk about a wide array of content. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And until next time, stay blessed.